As the sun began to set, the aroma of cooked meat intensified. Dame expertly skewered the roasted canines, offering Eldon the first portion. It was surprisingly delicious, tender and flavorful. As they ate in comfortable silence, Eldon couldn't help but feel a growing sense of, well, not exactly home, but certainly a feeling of belonging. He had a shelter, food, a loyal companion, and the tools to survive. He was adapting. He was even, dare he think it, thriving. This strange, dangerous world was starting to feel a little less hostile. Eldon and Dame spent the next day looking for chests, locating 3 more, 1 wood, 2 bronze. On the way back to the shelter, they would be ambushed by a large canine. While they would survive, Dame would be injured, Eldon managing to drag them back to the shelter. The following day, Eldon and Dame set out, their focus on locating more of the mysterious chests. They explored further afield than before, their movements coordinated through their mental link. They discovered 3 more chests, 1 wooden and 2 made of bronze, hinting at perhaps even more valuable contents. Eldon carefully noted the locations, deciding to retrieve them later. On their way back to the shelter, however, their luck took a turn for the worse. A low growl echoed through the trees, followed by the appearance of a large canine creature, easily twice the size of the ones Dame had hunted the previous day. Its eyes glowed with predatory hunger, and its fangs were bared. The creature lunged. Dame reacted instantly, intercepting the beast with a fierce battle cry, or at least the closest approximation of one that Eldon could interpret. She moved with surprising agility, her spear flashing in the dappled sunlight. But the larger canine was powerful, its thick fur providing some protection against Dame's attacks. Eldon, despite his lack of combat experience, couldn't stand by and watch. He grabbed the machete from his belt and charged, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He managed to land a few glancing blows, but the creature was too strong, too fast. It swiped at him with its massive paw, sending him sprawling. Dame, seeing Eldon fall, fought with renewed ferocity. She managed to drive her spear deep into the creature's flank, but the beast retaliated, its jaws snapping shut on Dame's arm. She cried out in pain, but held her ground. Eldon, scrambling to his feet, saw an opportunity. While the creature was focused on Dame, he lunged again, this time aiming for its head. He swung the machete with all his might, and the blade connected, sinking deep into the creature's skull. The beast shuddered, its eyes glazing over, and collapsed to the ground. The silence that followed was deafening. Eldon, breathing heavily, checked on Dame. Her arm was badly injured, bleeding profusely. He tore a strip of cloth from his shirt and wrapped it tightly around the wound, applying pressure. "We need to get back," he said, his voice trembling. He carefully helped Dame to her feet, supporting her as they made their way back to the shelter. The victory had come at a cost. They had survived, but Dame was hurt, and Eldon knew he needed to find a way to heal her. The thought of the life tree seed crossed his mind. Perhaps it could help. The meat-eating plant were already waist-high. One had taken root near the outhouse. Eldon would give Dame a fruit of the body. He would also use the cotton shirt to make bandages to stop Dame's bleeding. Eldon spent the night watching over Dame. Eldon would also open the chest. There was a stone axe, 2 500 milliliters bottles of water, and 2 loaves of day-old bread. The bronze chest had D-grade fertilizer and a cert for a puppy. The second bronze box had a small well of fresh water. It could produce up to 120 gallons a day. They reached the shelter just as the last rays of sunlight faded. Eldon noticed with a start that the meat-eating plants had already grown significantly. One, alarmingly, had taken root near their makeshift outhouse. He made a mental note to relocate it later. Dame, her face pale and drawn, sank to the ground. Eldon quickly gave her one of the remaining fruits of the body. He watched as she ate it, the color slowly returning to her cheeks. The fruit clearly had potent healing properties, but Eldon knew it wouldn't be enough to fully mend her injury. He used the large cotton shirt from the second chest, tearing it into strips to create bandages, and carefully rewrapped Dame's arm, applying more pressure to staunch the bleeding. Eldon spent the night watching over Dame, his sleep fitful and filled with images of the large canine. He felt a deep sense of responsibility for her well-being. She was his first follower, his companion in this harsh world, and he couldn't afford to lose her. With the first light of dawn, Eldon turned his attention to the chest they had found the previous day. He opened the wooden one first. Inside, he found a sturdy stone axe, 2 more 500-milliliter bottles of water, and 2 loaves of what looked like day-old bread. Not a bad haul. The axe would be useful for gathering wood and improving their shelter. Next, he opened the first bronze chest. It contained a bag of D-grade fertilizer and a certificate for a puppy. Eldon stared at it, completely bewildered. A puppy? In this survival world? He tucked the certificate away, unsure what to make of it. The second bronze chest, however, held a much more practical treasure. A small, seemingly self-contained well of fresh water. The description indicated it could produce up to 120 gallons a day. This was a game changer. Access to a reliable water source was crucial for their survival. Eldon carefully placed the well near the shelter, marveling at its compact design. He filled one of the empty bottles and drank deeply. The water was cool and refreshing. He then used another bottle to carefully water the newly planted berry bushes and meat-eating plants, hoping the fertilizer would help them grow. With a reliable water source, food, and improved defenses, Eldon felt a surge of hope. Dame was still weak, but the fruits of the body were clearly helping her recover. He knew the challenges ahead were still significant, but he was starting to feel like they might just have a chance. Eldon, leaving Dame in the shelter, went out to drag the large canine back for the meat-eating plant and to forage for chest and vegetables. Eldon used the puppy certificate. A small dog appeared from a puff of smoke. Eldon would fing 2 bronze chests. One would have a reinforced leather armor and an iron sword. He would save these for Dame. The second would have a goat certificate and a workshop blueprint. Leaving Dame resting in the shelter, Eldon set out. He had 2 tasks: retrieve the carcass of the large canine for the meat-eating plants and continue foraging for chests and edible plants. The thought of the puppy certificate also lingered in his mind. He decided to use it now. He pulled out the certificate and, with a touch of trepidation, tore it open. A small puff of smoke appeared, and when it cleared, a small, fluffy dog stood there, wagging its tail tentatively. It looked more like a pampered pet than a fearsome guard dog, but Eldon couldn't help but smile. He knelt down, and the puppy immediately bounded towards him, licking his face. "Well, hello there," Eldon chuckled. He named the puppy Lucky, a touch of irony, given their current circumstances. Lucky, despite its small size, seemed eager to please, following Eldon closely as he ventured into the forest. The task of dragging the large canine back to the shelter proved to be more difficult than Eldon anticipated. It was heavy, even for him. Lucky, surprisingly, helped by nipping playfully at the carcass and trying to pull it along, though its efforts were more comical than effective. Eventually, Eldon managed to get the beast back to the shelter, where he deposited it near the meat-eating plants. They seemed to respond almost immediately, their tendrils reaching out and beginning to consume the carcass.